Jake Paul will face Gervonta Tank Davis on Friday, November 14th at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. This will be an exhibition fight live on Netflix. Talks for Jake Paul to face Anthony Joshua collapsed over network issues. Paul's last fight took place at 200 pounds, while Davis is a champion at 135. Here's the crazy news, folks. On today's show, I had originally planned to discuss what was next for Tank Davis, as it appeared there were only two legitimate sources that were realistic. Now, the Jake Paul fight was always looming in the background, but what was believed for Tank Davis was to go out there and fight either Manny Pacquiao at 145 or 147 or the Lamont Roach rematch. In both situations, I would have been okay with it. For the Lamont Roach rematch, that made the most sense. If you are a boxer and you get into boxing, you are going in there to fight the best of the best and to make a statement. That's why you do boxing. And Lamont Roach was supposed to be an easy win for you earlier this year. You fumbled that fight. You should have lost that fight, but you had the rematch opportunity. That's the one that 90% of people would have pushed towards. However, a Manny Pacquiao fight still made sense. Move up and fight one of the top contenders currently ranked at 147. You could have fought a legend. You would have had this opportunity still to make a ton of money in that fight. It made sense. But here we are. And out of all the options, Gervonta Tank Davis, in his physical prime, is going to be hosting an exhibition fight against Jake Paul. Seriously? Out of all the options for Tank Davis, when we're talking about an opportunity for Tank Davis that most people would want to see is the Shakur Stevenson fight. We want to see Lamont Roach, even Manny Pacquiao, so be it. We're going to have him fight Jake Paul in his prime. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, this right here is an absolute disgrace. And honestly, I even go a step further. Gervonta Tank Davis going out there and fighting Jake Paul for an exhibition fight in his physical prime is the reason that we're seeing American boxing and boxing, maybe even as a whole, delinquish and lessen more and more so in this era of boxing. This is an era where this is a sport where the best of the best is supposed to go out there and fight each other. That's the way boxing's always ran. You're going to lose sometimes. You're going to get knocked out sometimes. But you go out there and you fight the best of the best. You're hosting an exhibition fight in your physical prime when you have yet to defeat any of the top guys at your weight class. You have not made your statement. You are not first ballot Hall of Fame. You're not even Hall of Fame bound to any extent right now. You have a chance to be. You are one of the most God-gifted abilities in all of boxing this generation, this era. You are proclaimed as the face of boxing in America of this era, and yet you won't fight the top guys. And I'll be honest, I understand it. Is there going to be a massive bag for Gervonta Tank Davis? Yes. Does Gervonta Tank Davis only want the money? Yes. I get it. It is what it is. But it does not change the fact that what's happening in boxing right now, specifically in America, is in large part due to these issues. At least for Floyd Mayweather, he was going out there still fighting big names. For Gervonta Tank Davis, he's not doing that. He's not fighting Shakur Stevenson. He's not fighting any of these other top guys. He won't even go out there and get his get back against Lamont Roach. This is a massive problem. And if we look at why is boxing lessening in popularity in America so massively right now in this generation over the past decade or so, it is in large part due to issues like this. And Gervonta Tank Davis was given the keys of this generation. He was given the keys to be the face of this era, and yet here we are. In his physical prime, he is ducking Lamont Roach. He is ducking Shakur Stevenson. He's ducking all these top guys to chase the big bag and go out there and fight Jake Paul. I get it for the money. I understand that point of view. However, if you are a boxer, you join the sport potentially for money in his situation, I get it, but you join the sport to make your legacy great, to become a massive name and defeat the best of the best and prove that you're the baddest man alive. And if you're Gervonta Tank Davis, all due respect, we cannot say that about this generation and what he's done. He is not a Hall of Fame fighter at this moment in time. Hopefully he comes out of the Jake Paul fight and goes and fights Shakur Stevenson or somebody else. But remember, he has already said before that he's only got a handful of fights left. Is that true? I do not know. But what we do know is that he said that before, and now he's coming back after the Lamont Roach situation, after his legal situations, and is fighting Jake Paul right at the gate. This is embarrassing, both for Gervonta Tank Davis and for the sport of boxing as a whole, specifically in the United States of America. It's a disgrace. Now, I know a lot of comments are going to be coming back at me and say this, hey, well, you're still going to go out there and watch it. Of course I'm going to watch the fight. It's free on Netflix. It's going to be a massive event, spectacle. The build-up process will be sensational. Don't get that twisted. And also, I watch almost every single fight that happens in boxing anyways. So, of course, I'm going to be watching it. But is it good for the health of the sport as a whole? Absolutely not. But yet, here we are. So, Jake Paul will be fighting Gervonta Tank Davis on Friday, November 14th at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. I will flip sides of this, though. For Jake Paul, Massive props to him. He's coming out as the winner in the situation. And let me tell you why. For Jake Paul, the report specifically says this. Jake Paul talks to face Anthony Joshua collapsed over network issues. Whether that is true or not, what we cannot deny is that supposedly Jake Paul had the guts to try to kind of knock out a deal and get a deal locked in with Anthony Joshua. That's impressive. For him to even consider stepping foot in the ring with Anthony Joshua is very impressive. So props to him. Hats off to Jake Paul in that regard. So he wins on the promotional aspect in that regard in the public view. Secondly, he's going to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. He should be the favorite in that fight. And a lot of people are going to look at me crazy for saying that. Jake Paul is not a horrendous fighter. Is he better skilled pound for pound fighter than Tank Davis? No way, shape, or form is he that. However, is he going to have a potential roughly around a 30-pound weight advantage on Tank Davis? Yes. And if you have decent skills, as Jake Paul does have, against Gervonta Tank Davis, who is not very tall, Jake Paul will be nearly a foot bigger than him, and is going to be nearly 70 pounds more, Jake Paul should be the favorite. Ron Garcia said it best, and I agree with Ron Garcia there. At the end of the day, this is an exhibition fight. It doesn't necessarily matter in that regard. However, Jake Paul is now going to get a massive bag. He's going to grow his name even more. He's going to have one of the biggest, maybe even the biggest fight. It's going to rival Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford in terms of viewership. And you get a massive bag, and you look good in the PR standpoint because of the Anthony Joshua situation, in which now you come out and emerge as somebody that said, okay, you're willing to move to heavyweight and fight one of the baddest heavyweights in all the world right now. So Jake Paul comes out as a winner in the situation.